No style is useless. So last week I was talking to a guy at work, and we were both just going over different systems and what they relate to. And we both mentioned the Joe Rogan commentary where he mentioned that he doesn't know why people still do Taekwondo. Taekwondo is totally, completely useless, and that's speaking as a professional Taekwondo instructor. He has a point to an extent. The things that Taekwondo has, such as the punches and the kicks, yeah, they're quite powerful if someone stood stock still in front of you. However, my own personal view on it is the things they do well don't really translate overly well to a self-defense situation, and the things they have you can find better versions of in other systems. So they've got pretty strong punches. The best punches in the world can be found in boxing. They've got strong kicks. The best kicks in the world are in Muay Thai kickboxing, for my opinion. They've got really strong side kicks and spinning side kicks, jumping side kicks. Spinning and side kicks don't really lend themselves that much to what we do, which is self-defense. The objective of self-defense, of course, being get ourselves away from the danger as quickly as possible. So if we can with self-defense, we need to be aware and avoid. If we can't avoid, we need to be working on our escape as soon as possible. Most fights in that situation are going to start off face to face at about a foot and a half. They don't lend themselves to the side kicks and the spinning kicks very well at all. Also looking at it, I've done another clip on why you shouldn't do Taekwondo for self-defense anyway. If I can remember, I'll link it in the description. But we look at Taekwondo, we go, okay, well, what else have they got? Let's look at Taekwondo and see what they do. They spend a lot of time bouncing. There's a lot of time bouncing when they're fighting. So to me, that would suggest a lot of durability with the legs. They do weird kicks at just bizarre angles that don't really look natural at all. So what do we take away from that? They must do some incredible stretches for the legs and hips. So let's steal their leg and hip stretches. If they're the most flexible with their legs and hips, why would you not steal their stretches? Why would you not incorporate them into your own system? Taekwondo is completely useless for this objective over here. If your goal is to represent your country at the Olympics and win a gold medal in Taekwondo, I would suggest Taekwondo suddenly becomes the most useful and practical martial art you'll ever study. Right? Aikido, I get down on Aikido quite a bit. It's not very realistic, and it doesn't really translate that well to a self-defense situation. No one's really going to grab your wrist and hold on to it to that extent. By the time you start to pull your arm away, they're just going to lamp you with their free arm. To tie both of my hands up to get a wrist lock while I'm on you, your friends are probably going to jump me and swarm me. There's quicker, easier stuff that I can do to stop you. However, if we look at Aikido and take the fuller picture, there was a book called Aikido and the Dynamic Sphere, a book I enjoyed quite a bit. So if we take the whole principle of a dynamic sphere, where we don't stand face to face and crash into each other, we do take that everything should be worked on an angle. I do take that if you lunge at me, there's no point in me meeting force for force, I step to the side. Very similar, by the way, to what you were taught in judo. Yeah, there is the big thing that Aikido and Judo and Jiu-Jitsu are all sister arts and they're all related. They are, it makes sense. But you can take the book Aikido and the Dynamic Sphere. I can't remember who it's by right now, but it's irrelevant. You can take the principles and relate it to Judo. You can take those principles and relate it to boxing. If I stand here and I throw a punch and you throw a punch, we're both going to take a punch. If I throw a punch and I immediately move to the side, if you've ever seen Joe Calzaghe versus Jeff Lacey, it was masterful. Joe would unload a bunch of shots to Jeff. Jeff would cover up. As soon as he looked up, Joe would go blah, 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 and turn to the side so that Jeff had to follow him. It wasn't. I'm not saying by any chance, by any stretch of the imagination, that boxing and Aikido live in the same universe, and I'm not suggesting that Joe Calzaghe studied Aikido because I don't believe he has. But we can use our angles, which is what Aikido really emphasizes. So again, it's what is your objective? What are you studying for? Every martial art has something to offer. Again, we forget that not everybody studies a martial art for the aim of having a fight. So you can take the 5 arts of boxing, Thai boxing, judo, Greco-Roman wrestling, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You can take those systems and you can train them for having a match fight, say an MMA bout, or using them for purely self-defense, which is what we do at Arbud. So you take them. However, we would train them very differently. So The first thing you're going to be taught really in boxing, other than your stance, is going to be a jab. I've already done a video on this. I think it was the very first video I ever did. We don't teach a jab for self-defense because it's two different objectives. The objective of a jab in match fighting is to find my range, pepper him with shots, get high on the score, maybe do a bit of damage to the ice so we can't really see where you're coming from, and it's a distraction to load up with a big power shot. With self-defense, every shot must be significant, so I don't want to tip you off that I'm about to attack you by jabbing you. The first punch I hit you, the first shot I land on you, is going to be enough to rattle your ancestors, so to speak, so I can at least take your legs away. So there's no referee, there's no judges, there's no scoring. If you've seen any of the fence videos I've done, the rangefinder is my lead hand. Whoa, wait, what are we talking about? Just chill, yeah? This lead hand is touching you. I know you're in range for my rear shot. The distraction comes from, don't I know you? Whack! So by saying the question, that's the distraction. So it's the same system, we're just using it in different ways. With Thai boxing, the Thai roundhouse, it's really, really cool. You see in MMA a lot, they use the Thai roundhouse to just weaken the leg. I would point you to Bashroot versus Warpath or Marco Hues versus Paul Valens. That lead, the roundhouse Thai kick to the lead leg will wear somebody down really quickly, and it's effective, and it's a fight stopper. Crow Cop used it against, was it Yoshida in Pride? Where the leg kicks I'm done, mate, I'm done. So they are effective. However, for a self-defense purpose, that high kick wouldn't be used to weaken the thigh so they can't walk towards us. We would be aiming it right at the knee joint. Right at the knee joint, just take them off their feet, drop them on their ass so we can run. Because we've got different objectives. Self-defense isn't about peppering you with shots and wearing you down slowly over time. Because while I'm using that game plan, your friends are getting involved. While I'm implementing the game plan of wearing you down, you've pulled out your knife. With match fighting, you don't have to worry about those things. Match fighting, is going to be a one-on-one. So the objective and the training system for self-defense would not translate well to match fighting. Match fighting does not translate well to self-defense. They're two different animals. So as long as you know what it is you're training for, you should be good. Again, some people train it just purely for it gets them out of the house. It's an activity they can do once or twice a week where they're in a room full of really respectful people. No one's going to take liberties or bullying you. Some people will take a martial art up because they've had an operation or a bout of illness, and it's, I won't say easy, but it's exercise without weights. So if you've got something such as Tai Chi or some of the Kung Fu forms, or if you've got a kata-heavy martial arts club where you're not going to have to be bashing each other in the face, that can be really good for getting in shape. That can be really good for rehabilitating yourself and getting yourself back up to a level of fitness. So everybody does a system or a style for two completely different reasons. Whatever the reasons are, don't let anybody turn you off it. Don't let anybody talk you out of doing it. What you're doing is what you're doing for you, and it works best for you. There are certain moves in judo that I do not like. There's some throws that they don't work for me. I don't know if it's my body shape is wrong. I don't know if it's my arms and my legs aren't the right proportion for my torso. Whatever it is, I just don't like them. There are other moves that I can do straight off without thinking about that other people I know can't. So it's whatever works for you. Even within your own system of style, you'll find 2 or 3 things that work beautifully for you against everybody, and you tend to favour those because they work. Yes, you should train the stuff that doesn't work for you, but we tend to go with what works for us. Same with picking a style. I did videos last time of how to choose a style, how to choose a club. It's all dependent on what you're doing it for. So if you're just doing it for fitness, purely for the aspect of fitness, there's absolutely no reason for you to be engaging in heavy sparring 3 times a week. That's ridiculous. If you're doing it because you're looking to compete, then there's no point in you doing kata classes, really. If you're doing it because you're looking to compete, you need to be in a class that teaches that system within the rule set that you're going to be competing in with sparring. It shouldn't be an all-out war every single time you spar. A lot of sparring in the early days should just be range finding. I'll do another clip on what sparring should be. But again, no martial art is useless as long as we're completely honest with ourselves about why we're training, what it is we're looking to get out of it, what our objective for training is. B, have an open mind. Yeah, Taekwondo and Aikido do not lend themselves to legitimate self-defense, but there's stuff they have that I see that can be useful for myself and my students, so I've nicked it and incorporated it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you meet me somewhere in the middle. Have you done some of this stuff yourself? Whatever it is, comments, queries, suggestions, and questions, pop them in the box. I will reply to everything. If you don't want to pop it in the box, you can private message me. I'm more than happy for that. Train hard, train smart, stay safe.